For my latest crazy project, I am going to make a model of the Indycar that Mark Smith last raced 27 years ago. Now, why is that a crazy thing to do? Well, for starters, there is no model kit of this car in existence. Second, well, there's hardly any images of this car online anywhere. And finally, I've never done this before. This is gonna be fun. What could possibly go wrong, right? Oh God. First, a little background on the car itself. It's a 1992 Penske PC21 that was originally raced by Paul Tracy. In 1993, Penske sold the car to a small team with a new rookie driver. So yeah, this was a long time ago, but for those of you who don't remember, Mark Smith came into IndyCars after winning the 1989 Super V Championship and 3 wins in Indy Lights.
Mark Smith has picked up his first Indy Lights victory.
Now, in 1993, the IndyCar field had legends like Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, Al Unser Jr., Arie Luyendyk, Bobby Rahal, Nigel Mansell. I mean, it was a pretty stacked field. And on top of that, Mark Smith was joining the Arciero Craftsman IndyCar team. Small crew, they were running a year-old Penske chassis, and they had the last year's version of the Chevy engine. So basically, they had a car that was outdated, underpowered, and with a fraction of the budget of the bigger teams. And yet, Smith managed to qualify 8th at Cleveland, 9th at Road America, and 6th at Portland.
Here's Mark Smith, all his friends, all his neighbours, all his family, everybody is here to watch him this afternoon. It was a tremendous performance to drag this car up to 6th place on the grid.
And he managed to almost qualify for the 93 Indy 500, hanging on to his spot clear up until the last 2 minutes of the session when he was the final car to get bumped out.
You know, you got everything to gain and nothing to lose, so might as well stand on it.
It was clear up and down pit lane that Mark Smith was a talent to be reckoned with, and all he needed was a better car. And in 1994, it looked like that's what was going to happen. Mark Smith signed with Derek Walker Racing. He was going to be teammates with Robbie Gordon and Willie T. Ribbs. Finally, Mark had an up-to-date car, a way bigger crew and budget, but Mark had terrible luck at the beginning of the season. 4 crashes in the first 4 races, including a concussion that sidelined him in Phoenix, and a crash in the final hour of qualifying for the Indy 500 in 1994, causing him to miss the race for a second straight year, and adding to the legend that no one with the last name of Smith has ever raced in the Indy 500. I don't know why people think that stat is important, but every time you look up Mark Smith, that's all you ever see, so I guess I need to include it. Mark rallied with strong performances at Nazareth and Road America, and a career best finish of 5th at the 1994 Michigan 500. But he walked away at the end of the season and never raced again, leaving fans to wonder what could have been. But I have a personal reason for wanting to build this car. I went with my dad to the 1993 IndyCar race at Road America in Wisconsin with the dream of interviewing an IndyCar driver for my high school paper. And the thing is, Mark Smith wasn't under any obligation to talk to me. And honestly, if he had given me just a couple of sound bites and sent me on my way, I would have been thrilled. But that's not what he did. Mark Smith gave me over an hour of his time on a race weekend to sit down, talk with me in detail about what it was like to be a race car driver and the importance of following your dreams. It made a huge impact on me. Now, I've been collecting race car models for almost 30 years. I may have a problem. And I've always wanted to have that car. Turns out you can't find a good model of Mark Smith's car from 1993. Heck, it's easier to find one of the original pit crew shirts from his team. What? Unless you count this thing, but tiny size, missing sponsors, wrong flag pattern. I mean, it's blue. Not even the right color. And yeah, no. So I'm gonna make it myself. I just need a donor car to start with. This is a 1993 Penske driven by Paul Tracy. Found this sucker on eBay, and it's got some decals that are starting to flake off, meaning it's the perfect candidate for a complete repaint. And it's pretty close to what the 92 was like. There are some differences. This pop-off valve's not in the right place. Also, the 92 had a fatter engine cover. But while researching, I discovered that there was a model made of the Penske that was tested at the end of 1992 by Ayrton Senna. Mini Champs made it in scale 1/43rd, and I thought, there we go, that's the car. Unfortunately, it turns out that Mini Champs cheated a little bit. They just took the 1993 model and said, good enough, we'll use this. So, turns out I have the same problem with both sizes of model. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the car in both scales at the same time. Plus, if something goes wrong with one of them, hey, at least I'll have the other one. I mean, that's what I'm telling myself. The last time I made a model car, I was 16 years old. In fact, the last model kit that I ever built was the Titanic. It was a weird time. So I gotta try to remember everything that I used to know about painting models, which wasn't much. First, I had to remove what was left of the old decals so I could prep the car for painting. Now at this point, veteran model makers are probably laughing at me because I have no idea how to take this car apart. So I'm gonna have to mask off every single part of the car that I don't want to get any paint on. Turns out watching paint dry is kind of exciting. Wow, so the paint is actually looking really nice, except for got a stupid little paint blob thing that I have to now sand off. I've had to pour through old Indycar yearbooks, Indycar magazine, even old programs from races, all in an effort to find images of how the various sponsor logos and graphics on the car work. One thing I quickly picked up on is that the decals changed race to race. So in the end, I've decided to go ahead and make the car that I saw at Road America. I'm using my own photos to show where the decals were. One of the coolest things about Mark's car is the flag pattern that goes from one side to the other. Problem is, there's no photo I can find that shows the entire pattern. So I'm having to piece it together and take my best guess at how some of it works. So here I've printed out the decals and I'm just going to do some test fits using paper before I get them made with actual decal paper. Just making sure everything lines up. This one's actually a little bit too big, so we'll have to resize that. Now once I had all the decal designs finished, I sent them off to a company called Bedlam Creations, which prints custom decal sheets. Once the decals arrived, I got to work. So I'm in the process of doing final taping for the car so that I can put a final clear coat over everything, and someone on one of the IndyCar Facebook groups pointed out that you can actually disassemble these Mini Champs cars through 4 screws on the bottom. I'm new, okay? Screws are out. Here we go. Hope those guys weren't wrong. One advantage, I guess, of my not having taken the car apart before I painted it is that there will always be evidence on the inside of what the car originally was. So in the course of all my research, I kept finding images of Mark Smith's '94 car. And although I don't have any personal memories of it, I just decided, why don't I go ahead and build both of them? I just have to do the same research for graphics and paint that I did for the first one. Now we've reached the last stage, clear coating. And I'm terrified. So clear coating, if you do it right, gives the car a beautiful shine, protects the decals, everything under it. But if you do it wrong, it causes the decals to curl up, come off the car, and you basically have to start over. Considering how much I've already done, that would make me very sad. So, wish me luck. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Painting the crew. Details are important. I am never painting anything this small again. And his head fell off. I realized that my pit crew needed a fuel line, so bendy straws. So I started off wanting to build one car, and I wound up making 4. This has been a really fun project to work on, but more importantly, it's given me a huge amount of respect for the modelers who do this all the time. I cannot say enough kind words about all the folks on the Facebook, IndyCar forums who gave me tips on how to paint, how to take the cars apart. Also, big thanks to Mark Smith himself and to Robert, the owner of the actual car in its current state, for their help and insights. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep you posted on what my next crazy project is going to be.